Hello and welcome to another episode of What's Inside. Today we're looking at a copy of Mall Madness. This is the Hannah Montana version. In case you couldn't tell from the words Hannah Montana and the picture of Hannah Montana. Mall Madness came out in either the late 60s or early 70s when the mall craze was really catching on. It's an elaborate electronics game that's got a little more depth than I had expected and a lot more little pieces. This is by Milton Bradley, ages 9 and up, for 2 to 4 players. And it's a kid's game, obviously, because if you're in a bunch of adults playing Mall Madness Hannah Montana edition, you're probably a little creepy. But there's a lot of little parts to this, so what I'm going to do is do a jump cut and set this up so that you can see all the parts the way it's laid out. I think this copy is complete, so you'll at least have an idea of kind of what it looks like when it's set up and what all the parts are, because there's a whole bunch of bits and pieces to this one. So what I'm going to do is do a quick overview here. We've got the electronic center of the mall, and these are the walls. There's 6 of these pieces, and these are purple because it's Hannah Montana. You do get an instruction book with Miley Cyrus on it, or Hannah Montana, whatever, same difference. And the instruction book is a fold-out, and it's got a picture of the mall. I'm just going to do kind of the basic outline of it so you can kind of get an idea of what pieces are supposed to be here. And it's got just an overview of the rules. It's not a complicated game, but there's a lot of pieces here. A lot of real little pieces. Most of which are kind of laid out in front of me here. So what I'm going to do is do kind of an overview of the contents of the boxes that would be laid out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and when I come back in a second, you'll see what it looks like set up, or at least have an idea what it should look like. So I'll be right back. Alright, so this is most of the basic setup here. What this is there's an overlay piece here that goes over top the walls, and each one of these areas here is a storefront, so there's little tokens that go in front of each one, and they're just supposed to kind of sit in front here. They sort of slide on, but I haven't quite figured out how to do it because quite honestly I'm kind of incompetent at that sort of thing. But there's also little fountains tokens that go in front of the fish token, or the little pond area here, and they just kind of slide down. So there's also 2 windows that come in here, so there's a total of 4 fountains, 2 elevator tokens that go on either end. You'll have 2 of these for the department store. I'm missing one of them, or the clothing store rather. I'm missing one of these. The rest I have accounted for. I'm missing one from this particular spot. So then there's 2 sale tokens and 1 clearance token. I'm missing the bases. They're little purple bases that these just sort of sit on so that it's standing up so you can move them around. There's an arcade piece, sports shop, the pet shop, shoe store, restrooms. The department store has 2, jewelry store, and sunglasses store. The other ones are the clothing store, card shop, ice cream shop. So basically this is an electronic piece, this piece here. This goes in the center. It's clearly defined on the board. And this does require batteries, obviously. Now what it does is when you turn this on, if I can find the on switch, it'll make noise. Now you get little credit cards. There's a buying card for Hannah Montana. It's got Miley pictured on it. And then there's Lily Trescott, Miley Stewart. Yellow is Oliver Oaken, and then Jackson Stewart. And
it's Mall Madness. Press the enter button when I call your caller. Red
Okay, that's enough of that. Basically, when you're buying something, you'll swipe it on the buying. It's just a piece of cardboard. There's nothing actual electronic about this. It's just a noisemaker. I think it might have a sensor in there. I'm not sure. Now, important to note is that on this piece here, there are 6 pieces that go on here to form the escalator rails. I have the pieces, but they're unopened, so I'm not going to bother with it. And I was having kind of a problem putting this thing together because motor skills. But these pieces are probably going to be either missing or broken, so be aware of them. They're glittery and like a light blue, and they're translucent. These are going to be hard to replace, so remember that that there's supposed to be 6 of these. They come on this little weird loop thing. So be aware of that, because those are probably going to be the pieces that are missing the most. The other ones you can play the game otherwise without a lot of these pieces. Like, you don't really need the fronts to the stores. It's just nice to have them for the completionist's sake. These sort of help hold this together, so you'll probably want to make sure the windows are there. Otherwise, you have your character pieces. You've got Miley Stewart, Jackson, Lily, and Oliver. They all have their names at the bottom in case you've never seen the show and don't know who these people are. And there are stands for them. There's 4 clear stands. Oh, the ones that are pictured for these that I was telling you about that are purple, that I have some clear ones for them. So I do have those, so there's that. But the same type of stands are for these as well. So that you can stand them up and walk them around the mall. Because you could go to the top stores or the bottom stores. So yeah, so that's neat. So be aware that you need these stands. Any standard standee type from other board games will probably work, but you'll want to make sure you have the actual characters. I've seen pieces for this game online. A lot of people have parts broken, so they'll end up with extra pieces. But the electronics part and the walls are essential. The electronics portion probably going to be broken or corroded from batteries being left in it. Then other pieces you're going to have are going to be these. These are your character cards. You got Lily, Miley, Jackson, and Oliver, just like the characters I just showed you. These are their shopping lists. These are the things they have to pick up. Now, to note when they buy something, they give you this big stack of purple markers. Now, these purple markers are basically shopping markers. So when you buy something, you can denote that you have purchased said item. If I can figure out what I'm doing here, I will show you. They're basically just little check symbols. So it's just a check mark, and you can put them on the bottom and on the inside here to note that you purchased that item. That's why it's hollowed out, because there's multiple things for each store. Now this is a spending game, so of course there's going to be money. So you get Miley money, which I'm sure really helps egos. There's Hannah Montana's face on $5 bill, $10 bill, $20 bill, and the 50 is green. So yeah, you get your big stack of money here. It's a pretty big stack. These might be missing as well, so be sure to look for those. There's also 8 food tokens, and they say food token on them. They're this type of purple color, just like the purple here. And I think that's, oh, you got your instruction book, of course, like I showed you. It says what's supposed to come with it too. You get the game board, which is a separate piece from this board. And these are just sitting on here. They're kind of held together by this top piece. So this top piece is vital. Your electronic console, 6 plastic escalator rails, which I showed you. the 7 pawn stands, which I just showed you, the 6 plastic mall walls, 30 plastic check marks, which are these purple things, the Mall Madness play money. These are Hannah Montana specific because they've got Miley on them. 2 cardboard sheets, of which are already punched out, containing character pawns, 4 bank cards, 1 Hannah Montana buying card, 4 two-sided shopping lists, which are these cutout things with the holes. You get the 2 sale signs, 1 clearance sign, 8 food tokens, and the mall assembly, which is this big outer piece. Now there's also these archways, which I couldn't figure out where they went, but they say Hannah Montana on them, and there's 4 of them. It's not noted on here what these are for, and I didn't see where they go, but I didn't look real hard either because I'm kind of lazy, and honestly I'm probably never going to pay to play this game. But I think they go on the entry points, because the entry points are in the corners here, and this is where the characters start. Red starts over here, blue on the other side, and yellow back here on my right. And then on your right is the green parking lot. And since the characters are color-coded, I'm assuming that's where they start. Now this is for ages 9 and up, 2 to 4 players obviously. Kind of the main problem is going to be the setup time for this. It took me about 7 or 8 minutes to figure out how to set it up, and I've just kind of quickly breezed through it. If you really go through and put all the pieces in to mark the fountains and the elevators, could take a little longer, and cleanup's going to be an issue. Most kids aren't going to want to clean this up because it's a giant pain. I don't want to clean this up, but I have to because I need the kitchen table. Now to go upstairs, you have to use the escalator, the ATM, food court, and half the stores are on the 2nd floor. You can move from the 1st floor to the 2nd floor and back by using the escalators. That's how you move around there, moving to specific locations. You know, it's all pretty self-explanatory in the rules. Now, Mall Madness has been around for a long time, off and on. So it's not surprising that something as popular as like Hannah Montana would get a game like this. What surprised me is the level of quality here, because these wall pieces are actually pretty good. The cardboard is thick. It's good quality. This was probably a fairly expensive game when it came out, but Mall Madness has always been one of those games that you hear about, but I don't know that many people that have actually played it. It was always considered a girl game, and this really doesn't do anything to dissuade that sense. But honestly, it's a pretty straightforward, simple game. It's got some electronic stuff that lights up and makes noises, which everybody likes that. And you get to do basically shopping. So if you like shopping or buying games, this might be for you. You know, you can play with fake money. There's a lot of different pieces here. I kind of want to use this for Warhammer 40,000, but that'll probably not happen either. But yeah, it's pretty in depth as far as like all the pieces, which is a hindrance and a plus. It does add a sense of like realism to it, and for younger people that aren't real familiar with malls, might be kind of fun to see. But that makes it easy for a lot of pieces to go missing. I'm only missing a few, mostly just the one storefront piece that's supposed to be over here in the purple. It's the clothing store. I'm missing one of those. That seems to be the only real piece I'm missing. Otherwise, yeah, there's a lot to this game as far as pieces go. So if you're a Miley Cyrus fan or a Hannah Montana fan and want to complete your collection, this would probably be a good one because it does seem like a pretty easy game, probably pretty fun. Not really my thing, but like I said, I might use this for 40K. But that is the Hannah Montana Mall Madness game. I don't know what else to say about it. Mall Madness has been around for a while. This is just, as far as I can tell, the latest iteration of it. it is put out by Milton Bradley, so it is a high quality game, and I'm actually real impressed with the quality of it. This was probably an expensive game, and it's kind of hard to find complete. And if you're looking to collect Miley Cyrus memorabilia or Hannah Montana or Disney stuff, this would probably be a pretty good one to add to your collection, just because it's going to be missing pieces. If you can find one complete, it might be a nice piece for your set. Otherwise, that'll do it for this episode. I don't know what else to say. We've kind of seen what there is to this one. I hope to see you next time, and thanks again for watching, and see you on the next episode of What's Inside.